It's our sixth class, explaining the idea of how do we do Padah Besholom? How do we redeem with peace to the extent that not only that we don't have to have an enemy, or that we transform the enemy, but the enemy automatically disappears, so to say. As soon as it's a kind of level of functionality that comes from the Chidush B'Nefesh, the essence of the soul, that when the essence of the soul is functioning, so then there is no enemy. The enemy just, all the obstacles automatically disappear. And we have like that. Well, that's the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes, but there's also ways for us to get in touch with our essence and our Yechidish B'Nefesh, which is getting into the Loiven Ha'elyon, and we're empowered by love, and the idea of a Yashkin, love, and a Boker. Love wakes up in the morning and he empowers our morning to be effective, so as such. And the fundamental tool is the ability for bittul. Okay, so let's bring up the text. Make a proper summary when we're done, hopefully the next few days. The question is like this. We still need to understand. How can we attach ourselves, today especially, means before Mashiach comes, to the level of the simplistic of Lovin, which is beyond Seder Shtashus, beyond the chain of creation. Not just to be in touch with that, but the idea of Yaakov is Yud Ekev, and like we said, Yaakov Halachadarka, that he gets empowered by love and to do it in his Avodah, to be functioning with the Yechidish B'Nefesh, within the Pnimius, within our Seichel Amidas, and to bring it all the way down into the world. How is that possible? At the end of the day, there's a system. There's a system of creation, chain of creation. What's it mean to get in touch with beyond creation and to be effective within the chain of creation? This question comes up many times, the idea of believable limitations and limitless, the idea of bringing the power of limitless within the limitations. But the question is, how does that work? Because at the end of it, it's the same there's the chain. And as the chain goes in, if either one or two things. If it's a light that is connected, that's limited to the chain of creation, so by definition, it's not the light of Loiven Elyon, of the simplistic light of the Yechidah. And if it's of your function, you're able to tap into that energy in some way through bittul, through Tzon. But how do you bring it into your reality, into the Seder Shtashlis? If by definition, if it's a light that's beyond Seder Shtashlis, and that's why it's initially not in Seder Shtashlis, and the only kind of light that goes into Seder Shtashlis is through tzimtzum. I mean, this is a fundamental question. The question is how, even if godliness has to go through tzimtzum in order for creation and continuation, what does it mean through avodah, through Torah mitzvahs, we're able to bring the Maamar Seder Shtashlis into Seder Shtashlis? Seemingly, it should be something that's not possible. It should be a contradiction. There's a system, and if there's a system, how can you be something limitless into limited? The question comes even stronger. He says like this, in order to understand this, that how is it possible? He says, first of all, even more so, that not just not just to bring from higher than Seder Shtashlis and Seder Shtashlis, but what are you bringing? Loiven Elyon, the highest level, simplistic of the light, which we said, which empowers the Vayashkem Avram Baboker. The davening gets empowered by the Loiven, by love and the Loiven Elyon, the simplistic of the light. How is it at such a high level? How can you bring that to Seder Shtashlis? He says, so explain, but it says before it says that Lovin wakes up the next morning, meaning Lovin tracks down Yaakov in the story, right? He tracks down Yaakov. They make a gal, they make a commitment, they make a promise, they make a meal. The next morning he wakes up, he empowers Banav B'Naisa, which says Makabel Mashpia, and then that they should be able to bring it down to Nashik Banav B'Naisa, and then it's also they should be able to continue to bring it down. The question is, what happens before that? So what does it say in the Torah before that? Before that, Asiyas a gal. They made the heap of stones. Now here we go into the idea of the gal, which is an important concept. I mean, the it's the idea of spiritual cryptic ideas where you take letters and specifically don't organize them. So although unorganized letters can't say anything, right? It's like Scrabble, you just mix it up. But also doesn't say anything. Meaning to say is when something is defined, then it's already limited. Even if it's a gal, a heap of stones, but at the same time it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say, just like it doesn't articulate an idea, it also doesn't articulate any specific idea. So therefore, this is the whole chap over here, and the continuation of the idea. So he says, Nemer inyan asiyas the gal. It says that he made a gal, a heap of stones. I mean, that how did they separate love and from Yaakov continuation was that through a heap of stones. Now, the heap of stones wasn't just because they didn't have time. There's an idea here. They made a heap of stones as opposed to a wall. What's the idea of the heap of stones? And the monument, and it's an aid, it's a testimony of the separation of Yaakov and Lavan, that I won't pass you. You won't go over to me. Yaakov won't go to Lavan, Lavan won't go to Yaakov. This is the idea of the separation. The gal represents a separation. There's a separation that separates beyond the chain of creation, within the chain of creation, because what's beyond the chain of creation can't come into creation, as the question says, or shebein keser le'eser spheres, or between the keser, meaning the ratzin and tainug, which is in a sense beyond Seder Shtashus, within the 10 attributes, starting from Chachma, or is he saying there's a parsa within every situation? Parsa means there's a separation. Or the parsa is even a separation within the worlds that are beyond Atzilus and Atzilus itself, which is the beginning of the structural world. Being in that parsa, what is this parsa? What is this separation? Means how does what we're going to learn over here is the basic rule, is that there's creation. And there was creation, for instance, the world of chaos was created, and the way it was created, it didn't sustain itself. The vessels couldn't handle the lights. That the system of creation didn't work. Over here we have the system of creation, and once you have the creation, then the idea is to maximize within that space, even outside of the limitations. And that's done through the concept of a gal. So first device is the idea of a parsa. Why is there a separation in the first place? Is in order that the idea of the beginning of the system of creation, which starts with Atzilus and then comes into the world of Bria Tzia, that it could even be in an existence, that there's such a thing as a world of Atzilus, although we said the world of Atzilus, his lights and his vessels are one, but even that there's vessels, there's lights, and there's he. They're all one, but they're different things. So like there's between Echad and Yachid, right? Echad is everything is one, but it's Echad. There's the seven heavens, earth, four sides. Yachid there is nothing else. So here there's the world of, how do we have the world of Atzilus come into existence? Only through the separation. Because this is what God wanted. As mezamuzin onkumin le'inyan shel parsadat. The Rebbe says that at the end of the day, fundamentally, God wanted that how does the world come about being? Is that there's a separation. The parsa makes it such a way. That's why the idea of the cryptic over here is not, we didn't get it so clear. Again, it's not an edited Maamar, but the idea is that he's saying is that the way things come through a parsa, like there's a screen, the parsa is a screen, you screen something. It doesn't just flow through smoothly. He says, not oifim masudar, right? And that's why the gal is the heap. It's not organized. For instance, he gives an example. If you want to use the stones in an organized form, as I have one in bottom, and you build things, houses, avanim, and words, letters are stones, like we've learned before. And when you put words together, letters together, you create words. Words formulated properly you could include in them ideas, right? Although letters are daimim, because you could say anything, and you could say words that make sense and don't make sense, but the idea is to put the letters together, formulate words, which is to enclose in it ideas. You use your words to communicate ideas. And if the letters are organized properly, then when they combine themselves, there's an idea. There's a techen. Techen means there's something being communicated, like a house, you're building something. In the Teva Batan, Kedisiv Sefer Yetzirah, as it says in the book of Yetzirah. So that's if you use the letters to build houses that are not just a wall, but a house. Basically, is a space, and in that space is the idea. Each word builds another house. Together, houses make cities. So formulating ideas, sentences, etc., etc. So that's if you're doing it with sudder. Being the idea of using a he, which again, it's by definition, on purpose, by design, that it should not be organized. The idea specifically that you cannot build houses, you cannot put together letters, you cannot put together letters and words. So because by not putting together, so that is the parsa. I mean, why is there separation? Because you have a heap of letters that don't make sense. So it separates. If you just speak German, you speak cryptic, and you have an idea, but the next person can't decode what you're trying to say, there's no understanding, there's no communication. The heap is by design to separate from beyond from the higher level to the lower level, that there is no, so what comes through, though something comes through. And that's why there is the world of Atzilus, otherwise it wouldn't exist. But it's so separate from the idea, because specifically it's not organized letters. So then the letters are not a way of formulating a continuation of communication. For instance, you have a teacher and a student, so the teacher is going to use his letters to create words, to enclose ideas, and he could use the words of an example, a mashal, simplify the words. But the purpose is how am I going to communicate an idea down, I meaning the teacher, down to the student. So specifically, the letters are created for that purpose. But when you're going to speak verbally, you're just going to say, put letters together, and make no sense. So then actually the letters become a separation. Not just that you're not communicating, it by definition separates. What are you talking about? So then, the whole purpose is not to communicate, it's to separate. And that's how the world of Atzilus means. It means to say the world of Atzilus is so far from Etzem, from the essence, that it's almost like something passing through a heap of stones. That's almost impossible. How can you decode something from a heap of stones? That's what the world of Atzilus is. That's why also that's why he's saying there's parses within the worlds themselves. There's heaps between the worlds. That's why Abin could say that what does it mean Anechi Oifer Be'efer? I'm nothing. I'm not even close to the Chesed of Atzilus, because again, they're so decoded, so separate from each other. It's not like a small level. It's totally another. It's like the ash compared to the tree. I'm the ash of the tree. Just like the tree, you can't even look at an ash and know what was there before. What's this an ash of? Someone has to identify. This is an ash of once upon a time a tree that was so big and so large, etc., and so on. Again, we as hefsek with and that's how the world of Atzilus comes into existence. Mitzias, into something that exists from something that doesn't exist. That's how you separate from the Ma'alim Shalom, from above the chain of creation, within the chain of creation. But at the end of this day is that you can't say that is the purpose. That the purpose is just to create the world of Atzilus, because then you're creating a separation. And the whole purpose is just a Yerida. Before there was absolute godliness, and now there's already a Yerida, a descent into something called Atzilus. So why would that be the Tachlis? Why would the purpose be that for God to create something that's separate or less godly than before the world of Atzilus? It's Yerida Maamar Padah Besholom. So what is the purpose? Is the world of Biyah. Because the world of Atzilus is godly, and like we said, that he is light and his vessels are one. Meaning to say that it's a godly existence. It's still not the world of separation. It's just godliness, the way it's not beyond Atzilus. So what's the purpose of that? If you're going to create a world of separation, so you say the idea is the Chiddush is it's Ibrahim Daveres, the idea that in a world of separation you find godliness, but in a world that it's absolute godliness, but it's the way it's godliness coming in the form of Atzilus, like an idea of breaking through a parsa. What's the purpose of Atzilus? So Atzilus itself has no real. It's only because Atzilus leads to Bria. But to stop at Atzilus is no purpose in Atzilus. It's just a downgrade from the essence. But if you're going to create a world of Bia, of Bria, separation, the idea is that in separation you find godliness. But it's not just in the world of Bria. The purpose, the kavanah of the whole Seder Shlachos was that we should have a place called Olam Hazeh, this physical space, physical thing, the Gashmis, with the necessity to wake up in the morning and you have to eat and you have to drink and you have to do things. These things that you have to do physically to push it to exist. If you don't eat, you're going to die. So all these things, in order to exist, you have to live in this world of separation and struggle and balance through that and fight through that. To find the moment for Yiddishkeit, that's the kavanah. That's what Hashem wants. And in order for the world of this world, which is the lowest of all spaces. And how does the world of Biyah itself come in? Creation and this physical world come in. It has to be a parsa. There has to be a second heap of stones that are even what comes out of the first heap of stones, the gal, the parsa, the separation, that is Atzilus is still godliness. Although it's just like it's something breaking through a cryptic idea of a heap of stones. And from Atzilus to the world of creation and all the way down to our world, there has to be another heap of stones separation. Otherwise, how do you have from the world of Atzilus something so material and physical like our world, so distant, so separate? There's another parsa, another separation between the world of Atzilus and the world of Biyah. In general, and then there's another parsa which separates holiness, even in the most physical, material way, from lumasef, things that are unholy. Like we say, but we don't say because that's within our lives. We don't separate within our lives. But there is a separation between Tamei and Tar. Within the world of Biyah, there's also where does it start from? It starts from the word. Where's the idea that comes in? There's an other side. There's negativity, negative force comes in the world of separation, which already starts from the Olam Biyah, the Bechinus period when things separate. This is why Lovin says you can't pass the heap of stones. Since in general he says there's two separations. There's a separation means, although seemingly the verse is saying that Lovin is telling Yaakov, and Yaakov's telling Lavan that you don't separate the gal, but it says it in two sentences. I won't separate and you won't separate. I won't cross over and you won't cross over. I won't cross over the first separation, you won't cross over the second separation. The idea is to take the Yud all the way to the other world, to the world of separation. The Beis Parshas represents the two separations, which in general, that's the idea. We say the Beis Parshas calls it Mitzat. That's the way it all is in the system of creation. Meaning the two Parshas, meaning the world of Atzilus and the world of separation, where there's the Umas, there's the other side. That's how things are created. Here's the whole idea. What is Avodah v'Yid? Avodah Yisrael. The purpose of Yiddishkeit is that we're supposed to be partners with God in creation, just like God created. We're also creating. And how do you become a partner? You have to add something to creation. Otherwise, you're not a partner. What does someone say in a partnership? What have you given? So, what have you given to creation? The tzaddik, because the righteous have to be like the Creator. This applies to every single Jewish person who's called the righteous. This was Yaakov Avodah, the chosen of all the fathers. The Shuf of Yaakov, main Shuf of Adam Rishon, like we know that the image of Yaakov was like the image of first man. It's just like Adam, first man had all the souls within him. So too is by Yaakov. Is brought on time. Why is he called the God of Israel? Yaakov is the God of Israel because he has all the souls within him. All the flows that happen is within Yaakov, and therefore Yaakov was the first to bring down the idea that Avodah is that we have to be mechadish in the Bria. And what's the chiddush in the Bria? That we can bring beyond creation and creation. The whole point is to break the gal. The gal is to make things cryptic and separate. That's when you create. But our job is to break Yibaka, means to break through, plow through their separation. As a Gespalten, Yiddish means he broke through a parsa, the separation of Atzilus from the world of Atzilus and beyond Atzilus, means he broke through the higher separation. Anything beyond love, meaning below from love and simplicity, Yaakov broke through that. Because in order to create the separation that's in creation, the Kiddush that we do is that in the separation, to break through that separation and to bring through godliness. Therefore, he's able to make the love comes down and he kisses his sons and his daughters, empowers the mashpia, the makabel, like we said yesterday. But the idea is it's not just that we have that it exists, the separation, that there's the concept of love and alien, but that we're able to bring it into our avodah, that in our functionality in this world, we break through, make a passageway, bust through all the separations, that the love and alien comes all the way down to this world. When a person's functioning on their essence of their soul, then you're able to make a Padah Besholom, you're redeemed with peace, like we said, the highest level of peace, meaning that there is no enemy. Not in an encompassing way, but we internalize it in our seichel and midas. Not only that, even in our garments, we could ideas the action. Let's see if we could go further here. Yeah, let's just do one more paragraph. The starts is by breaking through this heap of stones. Now, again, like anytime there's a pressure holding up a dam that's holding up the light, so when you break through it, all of a sudden comes a tremendous light comes passing through. The idea is that love is the highest level and the lowest level. Love and attained in this world, love is the lowest of lows. Love and the Gemara tells us loving is Bilham, either Bilham himself or the father of Bilham, the grandfather of Bilham. The idea is that to break all the way down to love and on the negative. Not just to break the separation within Kedusha, between, let's say, the higher of Atzilus and Atzilus, but even to break the separation from Kedusha to Lumasa, means to affect the others, the negative forces, that they should also be affected positively by the powers of Kedusha, of holiness. By days at Nasa Bir, the Banu B'nai, and that refines that love and Ha'elin, the way his sons and his daughters are in this world. It's not just the way we said before yesterday, that we're talking about the Mishpia Makabel in the world of Atzilus, Zam Malchus. We're talking about the children of love and the descendants of love and the children who are doing Lovin's works here in a negative way. Even to that of Eshem, which we said S is, which is a secondary, and Haim is Ma, which is they have the power to be bottled, but they're not. It's not clear. It's turned around letters. What the point is through breaking the parasa we elevate the lowest of the worlds. Not just the worlds, but even the negative forces within the worlds. Not that we sort of say save the world from the negative forces. The negative forces themselves become changed. It shouldn't just be in a way of fighting, but in a way of redeeming peacefully. And when you're working from the essence of your soul, the yechida of the soul, and that's the living within the person, the simplicity, the clarity. Then you're able to bring it down to the lowest levels, to be effective. The way things were by times of Shalom, like it says about Shalom, he's going to be Ish Minucha, a person of peace. I'm going to give peace in his days. All right, we'll go a little further. Yes, gives us an opportunity to finish at least one more paragraph. So just like this idea of revealing your Yechidish Benefesh, you're breaking through the boundaries breaking through the boundaries between Kedusha itself. And breaking through the boundary means, what does that mean between Kedusha itself? People have limited, even in our holiness, we're squared in, we're boxed in, we're locked in. The idea is break through that, to be functioning within all your holy levels, within your whole Yiddishkeit, your davening, your learning, they'll permeate to the Chiddush of Nefesh. So that's the goal of first goal. And the second goal is to break through the second part, so our negative sides within us. So the first idea is that this is a Geula Pratis as well. How do we have Padah Besholom within ourselves? That within ourselves we have the Padiyah, that we struggle and we deal with the negative within ourselves. First by, again, permeating our Kedusha through the Leiv and Elyon, and then dealing with our negative, the second parsha, the second separation, that we separate holy things and unholy things. That itself should be permeated with Kedusha, and so much so that the Ummah itself becomes transformed. Padah Besholom. The Padah Besholom. It's not just a verse that we talk about as an abstract. Every person says the verse Padah Besholom. It means it's an experience and avoid within ourselves. What is that in the time of a person? When a person davens, when you could go through that Padiyah all the way down to your Ummah. The Isa Beger Kodesh, as it says in the Tanya. When the person does it through davening at the right time, so you're able to, in a peaceful way, transform all the way down to your Ummah, to your negative side. The Rebbe says this is the time of davening. Through each and every one of us having our own Geula Pratis, our individual redemption through the process of Padah Besholom, revealing the Chiddush Nefesh, until we transform in a peaceful way all the way out to our Ummah, breaking through all the parasas, all the gals, all the separation. So too it's going to be when Mashiach comes, the general redemption. Mashiach comes, although we look at around the world today and we see all the narrative and the fighting and this war and that war, but the Mashiach is going to come in a way of Padah Besholom. Badrushim has explained in the Chassidus, like it says, "V'naharu a love kol hagoyim." The nations are going to come to us. All the nations will transform, suffer, brew to a clear language, to serve together in one purpose of serving Hashem. This is also okay, we're going to stop over here because now we're going to go to answer the question that we asked in the beginning of the Maamar. That why, when we count, we said there's going to be 10 count. There was 10 countings in history. In the final counting, that the sheep will be counted by the counter. So the question was, why are we called sheep in the final highest level of counting? The idea is going to be that in order to have Padah Besholom, that we should redeem in peace and we should be effective in the whole world and go to Shalom, then we have to reveal the Tzon, the bittul. And that's done through the Moina, that's the encounter, that's the goes into, that's the idea of the Rebbe, that's the idea of the Nasiador, and that's why he said about a the Moina, the person who counts, empowers everyone to have a level of Tzon. That will finish off as Hashem tomorrow. We should be able to finish as Hashem the Maamar. Thank you for joining, and as Hashem will finish the Maamar.